all with all names. Bitches Brew. I
Hmm.
cannot wait to see what they're going to do with that.
Man.
Oh,
Yeah.
gonna be, you know that.
No, man, no, I mean-
and what Midnight Blue and what's the other one? Goodness,
Hey man, I'm just locked up here. This is like, so I want to, you know, again, I know we don't have much time with everybody assembled here, but thank you guys for all being on this call. And I don't want to do any introductions. I don't want to take time up, but I have asked you guys to give me a few minutes of your time because I have an opportunity for young people 18 to 24 who have a City of Los Angeles address or who can get one. I have an opportunity to get them to be part of Dakar Foundation's production. I call it product-based learning. So I'm taking a page from you, Ted. Instead of challenge and performance-based learning, I'm calling product-based learning. I am challenging everybody to help me build a product that young people 18 to 24 will be paid by the city and the county of Los Angeles. $15 an hour. They get 20 hours of onboarding from workforce development. They get case managers. They get social workers. They get all the things they can never imagine that can actually help provide wraparound services for them to be able to stay connected to an opportunity to challenge. And then they get 100 hours from me at $15 an hour. After they complete that, and there's more money and there's more resources and more opportunities. So this is really the pipeline that I have to align all of these different opportunities, these resources. I have to align these things in a way where we start getting people who are really competitive at being able to build their own products, engineer, reverse engineer something, and be able to distinguish themselves as people who can design, build, and create anything that they can imagine. And so I don't have to play with my money. I can now play with the city and county's money. And I want to be able to take a cohort of students into July 1st, where I will be able to access more dollars and resources for fiscal 2023. So that's why I want you guys on the call to figure out how I can get consensus from all the people on this call and others who haven't been able to understand what it is that I'm going to challenge them to do, is what kind of product could we build so that they can not only be able to show evidence of their learning, but also could be, I believe, a tool or an instrument that can promote and market all the things that they've learned and they can apply to this thing that's missing, I believe, in all the pedagogy that says that students can't really do the things that people can't believe they can do because they don't have the capacity to do it. They can only do as much as they can, be provided. Career Technical Education, called CTE, Department of Education Standards, Common Core Curriculum. These students have primarily been challenged to learn how to take tests and pass these tests if they will. They don't convert to economic opportunities, I'm sad to say, especially the ones that come from marginalized communities. So that's where I'm going to challenge everybody to think about doing something, not replacing what exists, but to, again, give these people more exposure. So the thing that I've come up with, and this is what I'm looking for consensus, is something called over-the-top television. So I'm going to go around and ask everybody to explain OT. Well, I'm going to see. I'm recording this because I want to make a consensus that we know what OTT is.
So now you didn't know this, but so I want you guys to go to just open up a browser and type in HBCU Expo TV.
Okay, and Rick, and you're going to follow HBC. Yeah,
just Google it, HBCU Expo TV. So while you're doing that, so I did this in my spare time, meaning unfunded. So I stood up an OTT because two of my three sons are HBCU alum. The oldest is sitting next to me. My middle son is University of Maryland Eastern Shore. And the common denominator is that they were both fortunate that they had some good connections and stuff, and so they were able to. And Justin is a great example of minority student internships. He interned virtually every summer at Federal Aviation Administration. He was either at an airport, in a tower, or in a structure, or at FAA headquarters. Chad pretty much interned with me and with two defense contractors. My youngest is a communications junior at Maryland, and he's already being offered something at Apple, which I understand you used to work at, Ted.
Yeah, 10 years.
I don't know what it is he's being approached about, but it's the university that's trying to set this up for him. So I created HBCU Expo TV to allow the FAA, the FBI, CIA, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, and every one of them provided me with content featuring a Kevin Clark, who was a person of color performing a job, who talked about, hey, I'm Kevin Clark. I am president of, aviation engineering here at Lockheed, and I've been with the organization for X number of years. I grew up in X, and I attended Y, and I boom. And let me give you an example. Let me give you a sample of my life, a day in the life of me in my role. And we produce that. So we go to Kevin, and we write and we produce a day in the life of Kevin Clark at Lockheed Martin. Lockheed is all over that. Same thing for FAA. FAA already created some. We do most of the FAA's e-learning content. And last but not least, but the FBI said, what do you want? They gave me all, so if you watch this channel, you'll see all these FBI special agents of color, of different ethnicities, talking about their jobs. So here's the thing. When you're a kid at an HBCU, chances are you came up, you may be the first generation college student. You probably came from a marginal environment. And so you probably haven't seen anyone that looks like you, quite frankly, performing that level of job. And Ted, on the Asian American side, one of my good friends is the head architect for FAA based out of Seattle. And so he's already agreed to do 2 or 3 pieces so that that can also further diversity among Asian Americans looking to perform different roles within the government, within an agency like FAA, and then so on. And now I've also got the Native American communities producing content. And so all I want to do at HBCU Expo is, and it started because of COVID. The conferences were, most of these agencies send people to the college campuses, and they put up a little table. Career fairs. And the people you talk to at those career fairs, they don't have power to give you a job. They give you information. Half of them don't even want your information if you're a student. Frankly, they don't, because then what are they going to do with it? They don't have jobs that they can place you in. All they can do is take your information, tell you to go on the job site, create information, and you go into this database of interns. And guess what? Justin, who's staffed at FAA, is advised that he's got a budget for 2 interns. You think he's going to take time to go to HR and ask them for their database access? No. He's going to put the word out, right? He's going to put the word out to his colleagues. Hey, if you know a young kid that's really sharp, that's interested in blah, 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 have them send me their CV.
That's how it works.
So,
and if you're not in that network, if you're not in that conversation, you're not in it.
You're out.
Yeah.
And I also think what would be useful would be short e-learning modules that help kids create a brand for themselves, a personal brand. Look, it doesn't matter how you start, it's how you end up. And this Grammy Award-winning artist last night, just to conclude my position, my point here, By the way, his name is Fantastic Negrito, Negrito. What a name, right? He's one of 14 kids. He's number 8. At the age of 12, he was kicked out of his house by his father, and he was on the street from the age of 12. He purchased, he was selling drugs on the streets of Oakland.
Time to be a part of the early rotation program because companies continue to
So from a very early age, he learned how to hustle, as it were. So what happened is he made enough money to buy a used guitar because he was looking around and he's going, hey, this is too hard doing this. I might not make it. So I better learn a skill. So the skill he picked up was playing guitar, acoustic guitar. Everybody, he said, I see these guys in downtown San Francisco, getting cases full of cash, because they play really good. Duh. And so that's what he did. And he's 54 years old and he's won his 3rd Grammy.
Wow.
You'll definitely hear about it.
I have
Yeah, you'll definitely hear about it.
serving in 2 different divisions
So
and meeting a
that's the thing playing. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
But-
I'm playing it,
It's okay.
Yeah.
and I can't get it to stop.
Oh, you did it. You just hit the pause. There you go. So by the way, my network is set up where it's 100% online access. Why? Because young people like my sons say, Dad, sitting down in the living room and turning on a TV channel, that's not us. If we want to get something, this is how we get it. So if it's not here, not easy to get here, it's probably we're not going to see it. And another thing is, a lot of kids who maybe can't afford cable in their house have a phone, and they can hit a browser. So that was my motivation for doing HBCU Expo TV, and and
I didn't know. Had I known, I wouldn't even know what to do with this. But this is where I'm going to, because for the sake of time, I want to introduce another gentleman, and I'm hoping this is going to have a longer tail. Rick Presley, can you introduce yourself? And Rick has been very instrumental in helping me understand what I could do if I had access to the infrastructure, as well as, the operational manpower to put together a channel or a network that could actually create some momentum around this whole idea of putting a product out there. But my idea is putting a product out there that can be student generated and operated.
Mhm.
So that in front of the camera and behind the camera, we have students, not only standing and sing up.
And I started my career at PwC.
you might want to kill that.
Yeah,
Because what it is the channel is Ted's and Kevin and James and Terry's
okay.
that are talking to
I
you
just
about
cut-
what they
yeah,
do
so-
for them.
Right, so I just cut the phone, but this is the whole other level of ideation around a pilot that I know that I can find a group of kids that I can stand this thing up and we can create programming. But how do we get this programming out there?
It's a lot easier than you think.
Mhm.
Basically, all you need to do is direct these young people to create 2-minute modules. This is the way we did it back in the day with the Weather Channel, had weather every 5 minutes. So those were pods that we created at the Weather Channel. And so those were dropped in automatically, no matter what time zone you were in. And that was really, really important, for you to be in LA and watch the Weather Channel. And yeah, you get all this national stuff, but then you get your local forecast. So think of that as an interstitial, which you know all too well. So you get them to create a 1 to 2, maybe 5 minute at most interstitial pod. And then they just upload it. And it's scheduled. That's all you got to do. And then they can. That would not overwhelm them. So and then you have a couple graphic designers, motion graphics types, still, and you have a couple videography types, and you have a good couple of audio engineers, and that's the team. And they work together. Are you guys familiar with the 48-hour film thing that goes around the world, where you got We fly, we all, the three of us jump, four of us jump on a plane and we fly to Dallas. We don't know anybody in Dallas. We land there, we sign up for the 48-hour film festival in Dallas. And guess what? The minute we land, we're thrown in a room, we gotta write a script, block it out, and go shoot it, edit it, and deliver it in 48 hours.
Wow. That's the challenge I would want to be able to kind of put in front of
These
guys.
kids can do this because they can shoot most of their stuff on the cell phones that they have.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, man, Rick Presley, if you can, he's got a product that I would like to test out and integrate some other things to it. But Rick, can you describe the product that you represent and what it could do to help us stand up a student-generated product for a launch? Rick, are you muted? Well, let me set Rick up a little bit more. Rick's working out of, well, he's right in Orlando, but he's been working with a gentleman out of Oklahoma that set up a company called SiloCloud. And it's a private label browser. And this private label browser was offered up to me to create a channel so that I can create content to promote, primarily all the things that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about ethnic studies. I have content that I own the rights to about the Buffalo Soldiers and the Tuskegee Airmen. So I wanted to make sure that this channel had a way to promote and motivate other students to create content for their own edification, for their own ability to understand that storytelling is key to them being able to participate in sharing not only their stories, but sharing their ability, their capabilities to do something beyond just posting on social media networks. So SiloCloud was that channel that was offered to me. I haven't been able to operationalize it yet, but it's one of the things that I think could give me a chance to merge all the social networks that people are familiar with, all the conference capabilities, conference Zooms and Microsoft Teams. There's some other applications of it that have been offered up. But it's one of those things that I'm looking to do more than just broadcasting, not just two-way communication, but peer-to-peer, one-to-many, all the things we can do to showcase how students can learn the things that are known and unknown about how to reach their peers and how to impact their peers. So I wanted Ted to be on the call because Ted's the one that always preached to me that if people were going to create content, it had to have impact.
Yeah.
It's great to have content, about yourself, about your passion, but impact, what does that really mean to me? Well, to me, impact means having content that's going to allow young people from marginalized communities to talk authentically about what they've been able to do to build their capabilities, to get on screen or behind screens and be able to talk to their peers, not just as peers, but also as mentors. Because I think that's the kind of mentorship that has to happen is young people mentoring young people. And being able to show them that not only can we do it, but I can talk to you about things that are relevant and you can talk back to me about things that are going on in your community, your hood, your household, especially in a pandemic, or I was going to say post-pandemic, but I don't know if we were through that yet.
Well, also relevance and such that, you got a young person who sees someone that looks like them, went through a similar experience, say, hey, when I started out, I had a clean slate, so I focused on sharpening my axe, so to speak. And one of the sessions could be called sharpening your axe, But that's basically, I mean, take animation. I mean, there's a guy here in LA that grew up in rural Georgia and knew zero about motion graphics. And he is out here performing at the highest level because when he went to school in North Carolina, the station allowed him to utilize their motion graphics software and to take additional classes. But where it's really important is that I think it was someone from Central Piedmont Community College, Ted, which is a community college in Charlotte, North Carolina, mentored him on 3D Studio Max and one of the other softwares that escapes my mind right now, but I know 3D Studio Max was one of, now he was driven. So he took his spare time and he used the software platform given he was given access to, and he learned it. And he didn't mind asking questions of the person who was experienced, who actually taught the class at Central Piedmont Community College. And now this kid is out here just taking names. I'm trying to remember. I know his first name's David. His last name is escaping me, but I'll get back to you guys on that. But I think he's at Digital Domain, D2. So what you're saying is you get a kid like that who does a little short vignette, and he just does a vignette. Maybe he does a vignette while he's actually preparing a digital model or something.
Well, yeah, it's all, I believe, again, if you're doing a program that's picking up profiles of people doing things, it's not just for them to be talking heads. Be in a workshop.
Yeah.
Be in a real laboratory environment where you can show people, this is how I did it in real time, as opposed to, it's good to have pre-recorded material, but this is what I'm looking at for how we can move more information and have more impact, as opposed to having people do job shadows or field trips. And so, that's what I'm looking for this program to do, is when we can, is to be invasive enough to get into somebody's lab and let them show you how all this stuff came to be. But Ted, if you can, and I know you've got your short on time, can you tell us what are some of the things that are important to you now at Calbright, and how can we help, and how can maybe you help us take leadership? Because we're now doing the apprenticeship initiative, which is the California Community Colleges. And all of the things we're doing is trying to figure out how to help these people get more people to become, doctors for something.
Yeah, I think that part of it is that idea of branding. That really resonates with us because it's something we focus on in our career services, that from the beginning of your journey, you may think it's an academic journey that will end in a job at the end, but you need to be thinking about the job at the front end as well. And that includes the branding, the transferable skills, or what often people think of as soft skills. But we call them transferable because soft makes it seem like it's optional, that it's not as important. But in actuality, when you look at things like the Future of Jobs survey from the World Economic Forum, all the most desired skills from companies are ones that we would consider soft. And that's why we call them transferable skills. And you can get those transferable skills in life. It doesn't have to be within a job. If you're at home taking care of not only the kids, but the budget, there's a lot of multitasking going on. There's emotional skills, emotional intelligence being developed, problem solving. And so you've got to be able to talk about that and how it transfers into roles. The other thing that I would say, other than branding, the experience you're talking about, Kevin, sounds great. Opportunities are really essential. The end of any opportunity, I think it's important to have some sort of call to action. What will you do? Take a quick moment to synthesize what you just heard, how it changes your worldview or your mindset. What will you do with that now? Is it, and it could just be get more information about XYZ. It could be, hey, I'm going to now take a dream of mine and start charting it out. What will it take? So for different people, it may be a different next step, but having that kind of a call to action feel makes sure that it's not just a moment, but what we always say, right? Turn it into a movement. So I think that those types of things are essential to try to build into design into the structure of any experience.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good. And Ted and Roland, what I've been doing is going back to some of my old experiences with production companies, studios. Ted, we were just on a call with KCET, who's now connected with 2 other Southern California PBS stations to become one super station. And they talked about their need for talent and what they would like to do to find a way to be a bridge for
Yeah.
students to take their internship programs, but to possibly, climb the ladder and eventually work for Netflix and other companies who are doing, more advanced things than maybe they're doing. And I thought that was crazy, big change, because most corporations are, even though they're PBS, are more interested in keeping people for themselves and not, helping them exposed to other skill sets and mindsets. So what I'm looking at doing is taking the Kevin Harts and the KCETs and the AEGs and even people we've met along the way at Apple and AT&T and putting them all in a room on Friday, August 26th. We're sitting inside of this place called the City Club in LA downtown. And they're going to give me an opportunity to take this place over and create kind of a summit. Much like what we tried to do at LA Mission College, where we had about 80 people in an auditorium, but talk about how we can showcase a group of students being able to take their projects and not just present their project, but just present themselves so that they could actually showcase the capabilities of them to really share their learning experiences with all those stakeholders from the city and the county. But I would like this to be something that they can make the presentation, instead of the presentation being a presentation, it's actually a product that is actually delivering a real live program. Now, some of it's pre-recorded, but at the end of the day, my goal is between now and the 26th is to have this group of students available to make them part of this program. So I'm going to give you guys a template and see if you guys can see yourself inside of this template as being either an advisor or something else that we need to bring this OTT solution to a group of students. I think I'm going to have close to 30 students that are going to come from Watts, they're going to come from Compton, they're going to come from Inglewood, they're going to come from San Fernando Valley. These are all people who are, we consider these people talent, but they're considered the least of us in terms of all the things that I know HR and talent scouts think about in terms of the folks that they would look at as a candidate. And I want to make a case that we can take any student who's willing, and especially if they're motivated because they get a stipend, they get paid. I think this is what we can look at as an outcome, is people being able to execute something that people just didn't think that they can do. So that's what I'm looking for. And the city and the county, huge role in just being able to give these people the $15 an hour to work on this thing. Because without it, it's almost impossible for me to keep people's attention right now.
Yeah, it's exciting that you're working with PBS, because I'm a huge fan of their PBS Origins series. They show it on the different PBS channels, but it was really meant as a short form type thing that they would push out through YouTube. And these different programs are about 12 to 15 minutes, no more usually, and they tackle a lot of different historical topics that are just fascinating. But yeah, PBS Origins is amazing, and that also gives structure. Then, I mean, obviously we want whoever is participating to come with their own ideas, but sometimes you're stuck and you're not sure what to do. So to take a template like what PBS Origins does and think of a question that you've always thought about or that you're wondering about, now research it and do a quick documentary on it. I mean, that's a really powerful platform to use.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen by the 26th of August, because the news cycle changes every day. But I truly believe we need to come up with an editorial overview of what these students could work on, and make sure that the program, the outcome for the summit, talks about things that are relative to everybody that wants to be part of a solution, not only a change, but just how to buttress some consensus that students need voice, they need agency, and they need publication and distribution.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking for, is the outcome for this thing. So I'm calling it Brown Bag TV. I'm planning on having a 9 o'clock edition for the East Coast, and then a 12 o'clock broadcast for the West Coast. And the folks in the Central Time Zone, they just have to get in where they fit in.
Gotcha.
But that's what
Yeah.
I'm looking for on Friday, August 26th, to have a discussion, a live audience, and be able to put this as something that can be sustainable and done at least once a month inside of the venues that we have. So, you guys have any questions, suggestions, or comments before we break? I owe you guys lunch, so I'm going to try to get you guys fit if you have some
Well,
time.
that's okay. You don't have to. I mean, we'll do a rain check.
Okay.
Because I know you're rushing for time, and we're creeping next to 2, and I wanted to be honest to take a little break before I go to the Wisdom event, but
Sounds good.
Check out the Wisdom.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'll make sure Stephen knows all about your project. For
Yeah.
sure.
Wow. Yeah. I mean,
So-
yeah. Any last words, Ted?
Yeah, I thank you so much for bringing this together. As always, I apologize for falling off, whenever life gets busy, but I appreciate you, Kevin, and how you bring people together. Roland, you're still working on the Chang and Eng story,
Oh.
right?
Amazing you should say that. I had breakfast with the writer this morning in Studio City.
Great.
And I didn't
Great.
expect to see you.
Yeah.
Expect the unexpected with me.
Did I expect to see?
Yeah.
No, I was discussing it with an agent who was sitting with us. It is definitely. I'll clue you in.
Okay.
You're familiar with the Siamese twins, the original. Okay, I won't keep. I'll send you
Yeah.
info. But yeah,
I'm glad you're still working on it.
yes, we are. We're trying to attach a major film director to our
Yeah.
film, The Black Bard, which is about the enslaved poet George Moses Horton. So either of you know
Yeah, okay.
a major director who will give us 8 weeks of his or her time, we'll pay them well and secure them. It'll make it, then we can get this thing produced next year. So
Amazing.
Right. So
Anyway, thank you very much, gentlemen. I
Okay.
got to run to my next meeting.
nice to meet you, Ted.
Okay.
Have
thank
a
you,
great
Ted.
time at the Wisdom.
Okay,
Thank you. All right.
Okay.
Now.
Bye.
Okay.